Hi, I'm Cailey, a librarian here at Metro Public Library.
And I'm Meg, also a librarian, and welcome to our special 50th episode of All Booked Up, where each time we give you a different recommendation on a specific theme.
Yes, can you believe it's been 50 episodes?
I cannot believe it. It has been so much fun. And do you believe we've given over 200 different book recommendations?
Oh my gosh, it has flown by, and here's to the next 50. We're not stopping anytime soon. And what is this week's theme?
Yeah, so this week's theme, as we take off our little party hats, is our high school books. So young adult books about going back to school and just getting back in the flow, whether it's a normal school or maybe a little bit fantasy school. So
yes, back to school time is, of course, right now. So these are timely topics. And Meg, what is your first back to school read?
My first back to school read is called Kind of Fine, Sort of Kind of Fine by Spencer Hall. And this is a book about senior year, iconic year in high school, a big one for two special teen characters who kind of want to shed the labels that have been placed on them for different reasons. The first character is Hayley Mills. And she's this really go-getter type girl. She's really successful academically, athletically, and all of this. But the year before your senior year, she has kind of this very public mini breakdown in front of all of her classmates in the school driveway. And this kind of, obviously is painful to have this breakdown, but it also, her students start to say all these things about her that she really wants to change. She wants to be seen as that go-getter she was for the 3 years prior. And then there's Lewis. Now, Lewis is a little more laid back, kind of a slacker. His friends call him Big Man. So it's kind of, he has these names about him, and he wants to be, I'm not just like the sidekick in high school. I can be like the leading man type of character. So they both have different motivations, and they're not really friends beforehand, but they find themselves in a TV production class, which is kind of for Hayley, it's kind of for her to kind of ease off all the chemistry and physics and all the tough stuff that she's been doing to kind of take a break. And for Lewis, it's kind of to, prove himself as something he can really excel at. But this is the part, they didn't want to be paired together, but they are, of course, for an assignment in this class. But they actually do a really good job together, which surprises both of them. So what they decide to do is together, they create this little mini documentary series about all their classmates, all the different classmates at school, and kind of showing their hidden talents. So for example, one student who is really known for being really smart, that's like his reputation. They find out that he's actually really good at laser tag. So they kind of do this whole thing about how he's great at laser tag. And there's another student who is an artist, unbeknownst to many. So they kind of really excel at this, and they actually become popular for doing this. So in a way, they kind of both get what they want. So Lewis, gets known as this leading, really successful person, and Hayley gets kind of her, achiever status back. But it kind of backfires a little bit, in ways that they didn't realize. And it makes them think, is this what I really wanted in the first place? So I really like that theme for a book because, in high school, there's all those labels that you have to deal with for yourself and others. So, and there's a little bit of romance in it as well. So I like that as well. But yeah, I just think it seems like a really sweet book. So
yes, definitely. Well, my first book is called The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness. And this one's a little bit older, 5-6 years, but it is such a fun read and really creative book. Are you familiar with the teen drama shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Vampire Diaries?
Awesome. Love them.
Teen Wolf, those shows and the books that, are very similar and sometimes based off those are all about the chosen ones, the special kids, and some sort of supernatural elements. And all the while, the main characters are still going to high school.
Yeah.
Well, this book is not about them. Yeah. This book is about the characters in the background, sort of the extras in the show, if you will. These background characters, are just trying to get through high school despite whatever apocalypse may be occurring. And our four background characters, who are the main characters of this book, are Mikey, Mel, Jared, and Henna. And they have their own problems and issues going on. outside of the portal of doom that is forming in the gym. So as graduation is looming on the horizon for them, they have all these regular teenage worries. Mikey struggles with OCD and anxiety, but he really is struggling with trying to tell his good friend Henna that he has a massive crush on her without ruining their friendship. And Mel is struggling with anxiety as well, and also recovering from an eating disorder. Jared's keeping secrets from Mikey, who's his best friend, and it's sort of pushing them apart. And all four of these teens are aware of all sorts of crazy stuff happening at their school, but they're just trying to make it to graduation. And in spite of these weird things that occur in their small town, this book is really about, like, that's a lot of senior year stuff, relationships changing, you know, that feeling of like, you can't wait to get away, but also you're kind of scared to leave everything you know. And their friendships are shifting, and, you know, there's a lot of changes happening. Each chapter of the book starts off in a really cool way, where it basically gives you a glimpse to what's happening with the chosen one characters that the author calls the indie kids. So you find out about these very dramatic, supernatural things occurring, but the focus of this book is on these characters that don't have any sort of powers, are not involved in whatever thing is happening, and are just dealing with normal high school problems. And I like that the focus is on these wallflower characters, sort of the ones who get ignored in the background, because it sort of tells you that, you know, everyone has things that they're working on and struggling with, no matter what apocalypse might be coming.
Love it. The combination of just like mundane school life and those common struggles with the supernatural, that's just such a fun combination. So it sounds really good. So mine is also kind of a little fantastical twist, my next high school book, and it's called The Castle School for Troubled Girls by Alyssa B. Sheinmel. And this is a boarding school tale with a sort of menacing twist. So it's about Maura Dreyfus, and she is being sent by her parents to a very remote boarding school called the Castle School, literally. And it's in very secluded, like, woods of Maine. So it's kind of got a little bit of mystery about it in the first place. And Maura's kind of not in a good state when she's heading out to the school anyway. Her parents say it's just to give her a new experience, but she knows it's because she's been causing them a little bit of trouble, her parents. But it's because, you know, she's recently grieving the loss of her best friend, Nathan. So this school has this reputation of helping people with grief, mental, social, emotional type of issues. And so she's going there, and what she has to do at this school is talk to Dr. Prince. He's like the headmaster, and he's supposed to be able to help all these kids with their various issues. So she's expected to bear her soul out. But the very first night she gets there, she starts to notice some strange things about this school. First night, she starts to hear music in a far off place, and no one can figure out where it's coming from. So that's just the first night. The second night at this school, she wakes up to find the window latch in her room broken. So what's going on there? And then the third night, so much weird stuff happens that her and her new roommate are compelled to leave their room. And when they go outside, they find that this isn't just a school for girls, that this isn't all that there is. There's actually another secret school for boys that is somewhere else. And they're finding out all these new things all at once. It's totally suspenseful and thrilling in that sense. And then to find out the answers to all what's going on with the school, what's the nature of the headmaster, Dr. Prince, like what's going on here, Moira is going to have to deal with not only her past grief and her issues with that, but also just making friends and learning to connect with the new classmates at her new school. So she has to deal with a lot of stuff, but it's just such a page turner to find out what's going on here. What is the mystery, but also like how to connect with your fellow classmates at the same time. So I think it's compelling for that reason.
Absolutely. And I think there's that sort of fascination with boarding schools, especially because so many people haven't experienced them. Right. So I think those are always super popular in books.
Yeah.
All right, my last book is called You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. And this is a contemporary fiction. It came out last summer and it actually got a bit of acclaim. It was nominated for a Stonewall Book Award. And it was also one of the Goodreads Choice Awards for YA fiction. It was in the top. So this is about Liz Leidy, who has never quite fit in her small Midwestern Indiana town. She is bound for greater things than her mostly white, upper middle class city has in store for her. And Liz, who is Black and not very wealthy, knows that she is much too awkward and an outlier of sorts for her to shine in this small town. But she has these big plans, and she is going to attend this prestigious college called Pennington College. And she's going to play in their world famous orchestra and study to become a doctor. Wow. Well, unfortunately, the scholarship that she was counting on to get her to Pennington College sort of fell through. And in order to make her dreams a reality, Liz decides to run for prom queen. So those two things might not necessarily connect in your mind. However, this small town is obsessed with their prom, and the king and the queen get a $10,000 scholarship. So she decides that even though she doesn't really care about the crown, she is going to try to win this in order to help her future. And, you know, she has a little bit going against her with the fact that she's awkward and sort of unpopular and struggling a bit with some anxiety. So, you know, what could go wrong?
Right.
So Liz goes through a lot over the course of this book. She has problems outside of the prom race, family things. She has a brother who is struggling with sickle cell anemia. And she's got family that she has to deal with. And obviously money is an issue for her. She also has a crush on one of her competitors, which can only end badly for both of them. But basically, this book really showcases a lot of those things going on in high school, especially senior year. And there's a lot about, you know, trying to think forward about all of your future plans. And it's a weird time in your life because, you know, you have all of these responsibilities and there's all these expectations, all these decisions to make and everything, but you're still not quite in charge of your own life.
Yeah.
And so Liz has to majorly step out of her comfort zone and take charge in order to try to get herself to her goals. So it's a really fun read, and it's just a slice of high school life.
Totally. Yeah, I love it. And hearing you describe Liz, she just seems so compelling and relatable and also just lovable because, you know, we have those insecurities, we have those, you know, anxieties, whatever, but, you know, seeing her push through things is really inspiring and cool. So I like that. Thank you guys for joining us for this episode, Back to School Reads. Hope you enjoy it. Even if you're not in high school, I'm sure you'll love these. We do, you know, so, and thank you for joining us for our 50th episode. It's been so fun to share these books with you and look forward to doing more.
Yes. And we love to hear that people have enjoyed the books that we've recommended. So if you're ever in the library, let us know.
Yes.
Yes. Happy reading.
Bye-bye.